Okay, I love this on the timeline. Our evolution champion. JP is definitely in a tier of his own in this game. S plus tier. Love that for him. So then Broski, as always, he's got the hard numbers. Did you guys know JP has the most players qualified for Capcom Cup, the most CPT World Warrior wins, and the most players over 2KMR. Interesting little JP stat for you right there. Oh, hold on. Turns out all those things I just said are actually Ken's stats. Whoops. For what it's worth, JP is top tier horseshit, and so is Ken. You are being hoodwinked if you allow either JP mains or Ken mains to convince you one is somehow ascended above the other. We've been gaming for a bit, and now we are in the equity arms race. Everybody on the timeline is trying to downplay their character and upplay everybody else's character to make their wins and experiences feel valid. When a JP or a Ken player wins, what do people do? Lamau, JP winning again. This guy's winning with JP. JP broken. Ken winning. Ken broken. Blah, blah, right? So JP players are trying to throw Ken players under the bus. And Ken player, honestly, it's really Ken players the most, are trying to throw JP players under the bus as JP playing the best. Because then when they win with Ken, they're like, yeah, my character's bullshit. However, JP, though, kind of wild. And like JP players win. They're like, yeah, though, but have you seen these Ken players? For some reason, being able to say like, yeah, my character may be good, but this character is better. I'm like the second best character, or like this character is as good as my character, can just make your wins feel or seem a little bit more valuable. I don't blame anybody who plays these characters for feeling this way. You know why? Everybody who watches tournaments does this. You guys go in the chat and you guys go in the Twitter comments and you guys go in the YouTube comments and you're like, yeah, well, these JP players are carried, or these Ken players are carried, or these guys suck, the character's carrying the, etc., etc., etc. When you win, you want it to be like, I did it, guys. Look at me. But then when someone else wins, it's like, ah, man, we can't play this game with JP like this, bro. What happened? Suddenly, it's not the player anymore. It's the character out there doing dastardly things. We all know Ken is good. We all know JP is good, or Cammy, or Luke, or whoever, right? Like whatever the character is that's after them. The problem is, it creates this cycle where you constantly shit on everybody else's character and their wins or their skills or the things they're doing, and they're carried and all this stuff, right? But then when it's your own character, you want the props, right? You're like, look at me go. I'm pretty nasty, right? I won. And then everybody starts tearing you down. So then you get upset. It just keeps going. Every time someone wins, they try to be happy about their win, but everybody tears them down. And then they lose a tournament. And then they have to tear down the other person. And then everybody, they're just beating each other up over and over and over. No one can just be like, damn, you know what? You played pretty well. They got me today. I need to figure out how to beat this character. No one's there. It's so hard to remove ego from the equation when your ego gets attacked every time you win or lose. Strive has been like this. Like a Happy Chaos player wins, everybody bitches about Happy Chaos, it's over. Ram wins, everybody does this to Ram players. Nago wins, like people do this for every character. You're mad at them for winning in the video game. Like, I don't know, dude, you picked your character, they picked your character, you played the video game and you lost. There's no like tournament thing that happens where you lose and then they just advance you in the bracket because your character is just a little bit weaker. It's not like that. This is just reality. And the truth is, you're just gonna keep beating each other up and everybody's gonna feel bad. A lot of the comments are like people who are like bronze, silver, gold, whatever. Like they're not at a level where this character affects them in the same way. In their bracket, they should not be mad about JP. They should be mad about Honda. Honda is the best character at their skill level. They're not even fighting the right dude. They don't want to learn fighting against JP because, you know, they're just grumpy. So then they lose more because they haven't learned to fight against JP. And then also, they just know everybody else is pissed about JP. So they're just mad. I mean, dude, I play Sin and Strive, right? Sin is universally agreed to be like bottom 2, bottom 3 character in the last patch. This patch, he got lots of cool buffs. Everybody who didn't learn the matchup in the last patch, by the way, none of them knew anything about the character, is pissed that Sin is a playable character in this version of the game. Bedman's an even better example because Bedman is also terrible. I don't think the perception of him is that he got as strong as people think Sin did. And people are like, oh my God, like they let these Bedman players do shit in this version. Ugh. And it's like, dude, you play Ramlethal. Your character has been one of the best characters in the game for like years at this point. And you're gonna be upset that another character who is miserably terrible is now slightly more selectable in the game. That person is miserable. Their own ego is just leaping in front of themselves to try and defend themselves because they just don't want another character to be good. This kind of attitude is so nasty for yourself. You truly can't find yourself thinking this all the time. Great example. Anji's new move in Strive, I think is the stupidest thing ever. I don't know why they gave him this new fish move. Am I mad at Anji players and like, you fucking Anji players are carried, but they made your character good, you sacks and shit? No, I'm like, I just have to learn how to fight the move. The character has this move and this is the game. And if I don't know how to fight against this move, I can't play the game against them. So I should probably learn it. I'm not mad at Anji players. I'm not complaining that he's too strong or weak or whatever, because like, I don't even know. The patch is new, right? I'm just like, well, what are my answers and like, what are the best? So I just went in training mode. I was like, all right, what do I do here? Then the answer was, oh, if I hit jab, I'm dead. Most people just can't move that mental like outlook in the game. It's just so much of like, I lost, I have to find something to get in the way of all this, right? Like I have to find a barrier to save me. You need a parachute to help you on the way down, to make the landing a little softer after you lose. And the reality is you all sound like grumpy little children on the timeline. Why do you guys think you've seen so many people suggesting nerfs or changes or whatever? They're all trying to change the perception about their character because the patch inevitably is coming. If your character is on the weaker end, you're really trying to sell how tough you work, and you know, it would be some fair buffs. And if your character's at the top, you're really like, yeah, guys, everybody get those fucking JP and Ken players, am I right? You got to take those characters down. And you know, maybe my character is they're just okay. My character could be really good if JP and Ken didn't exist. You know what I mean? It's like, if you played Jury, after CEO, you were sweating, right? You're like, oh my God, it's over. Everybody's bitching about Jury. It's the end. And then there was like no juries in like top 16 or something, or top 24 of Evo. And you're like, guys, look, everybody look, jury's bad. Look. She wasn't in there. Look. But what about this next event? Or what about this? Or what about, you know, everybody's trying to fight, right? They're trying not to get their character shot. The truth is, it doesn't matter if JP is the best, or if Ken is the best, or if neither of them the best and it's some other character, or Cammy is third, or, you know, Luke is third, or whoever. Like, we all know that these characters are good. Like, they're all good characters. Like, duh. This game has mad good characters. The way you talk about it like that is just so not good for you long term. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm not saying you can't complain, because I think people dilute the things that I'm saying here to Sajam says you can't complain. I don't care if you complain, dude. I just did. I said I think Anji's new move is stupid. That's complaining right there, right? In fact, I'll go further. I think his new move is very scrubby. But what are you going to do about it? If you don't know how to stop the move, you're probably going to keep fucking dying to it. So you should learn how to deal with that. And some moves are good that even if you do know how to deal with them, they're stupid. Like JP's counter is stupid. If you know how to deal with it, still a stupid move. When you wake up tomorrow, that move is still going to exist in the game. And what are you going to do if the patch comes? They change the counter and it's like slightly worse, but still good. Or what are you going to do if they don't change the counter and they nerf other things about JP and the counter stays? Or what are you going to do if they nerf JP out of the game, they delete him, and then Lily and Cammy and Kimberly are the three best characters in the game? You know what you're going to do? You're going to wake up on Twitter. You're going to type into the chat bar, you know what's fucking stupid is how these Kimberly players are carried and these Lily players are carried, and these, but you're just going to do the same thing in the next version. And you're going to sound just as silly. The way people tweet about JP is unhinged. People are like, we as a community need to band together and tell Capcom to emergency patch the game, because we can't keep living in a world where JP exists. The animals are leaving. The world is dying. The aliens don't want to talk to us. And then the COD montage fucking plays. Can you believe that shit? That is I read that and I was like, I must be so fucking sleep deprived and tired that I imagined a tweet like this existing. This cannot be real. I get it, dude. JP is fucking cheap. You know how many times I've said that sentence and removed JP for another character's name? I get it, dude. I'm with you, man. I played 1.0 Soul. I made videos. As Brian says here, I didn't even fight it. I was like, Soul is the best character in the game, right? So you need to know how to beat him. Here's some ways to stop some of the stuff he wants to do. And they're like, you fucking downplaying sack of shit. How dare you make a video like 1.0 Soul has weaknesses? Is 1.0 Soul the strongest fighting game character ever? Wasn't that a conversation? I won't say from where. I'm sure you guys remember that. I can tell you, he's not even close to the most powerful fighting game character in a game I've ever played. The Leffen clip. You mean the one where he said that he hoped the Soul player died at his mother's funeral? That one? Just normal character assault. Just boys being dudes. Very normal way to talk about character discourse. Ken is good, but at least he follows the rules of the game. Yeah, what does that mean? Like, what rules is JP not following that Ken's not following? Can like JP walk in like 3 dimensions or something? Can he like come into the foreground or the background of the game? What are the rules? The rules are, I think he's smelly, so I think he doesn't follow the rules. He's not a Street Fighter character. The character in Street Fighter is not a Street Fighter character. Why? Is it because he doesn't walk back and forth and hit buttons? Because if that's the case, online Ryu players are pretty convincing about Ryu not being a Street Fighter character. I'll tell you what. You ever played a Ryu player that just fucking dashes at you over and over, dash jumps and dash tatsus and that like all kind of, I'll tell you what, Ryu players got a real strong case for Ryu not being a Street Fighter character. OD Amnesia is the rule breaker. What rules does it break? What about the code of the game does it change? Now, before you type, the answer is you don't like the move. That's all right. That doesn't mean it's breaking rules. What rules? What are the rules? This is what he breaks. He breaks the rules. Like what's in this book? Ow. It's not a fighting game thing. If you played any other game, you're aware. This is how it goes. This is why you gotta carve your own path. You gotta talk about the game in a more fun, more reasonable way as a human. Because if you don't, then everybody's just gonna talk about it in the same stupid way. Playing against Peacock may have been the most inhumane experience I've had in a fighting game. I've never felt worse. I mean, I've fought against NRS zoners for years. I felt miserable. And I thought to myself, let me go peep what good players do against Peacock.
Chat, please observe. I'm going to do round start launch.
Chat, please observe. I love that he says it like that. This is Peacock.
What do I do? I need assistance. Once I energize.
I need assistance is
right.
broken.
It's time to get in. It is not time to get in.
It's time to get in. Goes so fucking hard. It's time to get in. Are you dead ass, Ed boy? Like the timing on that shit.
Fuck, he couldn't jump over it. Why is my dude Commander William Beowulf right?
I was like, oh, it's not just me, dude. Okay, I felt so much better. And then I learned like what the actual answers were. And like what you can do, even though it's very hard. And I was like, oh my God. Ah, and I felt great.
Listen.
If there's one person, listen, Chris CCH is a crybaby. He started learning JP because he hates JP so much. And I respect that about him. What I don't respect about him is that he plays JP and Ken and he still complains. Listen, that's like if you have all 6 Infinity Stones and you're still like, you know, his Avenger is kind of broke. To be honest, this guy's got a hammer. Like, I don't really like that about him. It comes back. If I throw my boomerang thing as Thanos, like that shit doesn't come back.